Eviction.
Wake up, everybody!
But first,
I cannot on my daughter's birthday. Disgusting. Anybody want cake?
I want to welcome you guys all to my big brother funeral.
I can't find an individual to hate because I hate you all.
Welcome to Not Game All Personal. Hey, we are a Big Brother podcast. We're talking about all things Big Brother, more specifically the events of this past week. It's double eviction night, Tony. We made it through. We were both safe. I assume we made it, correct?
We made it, and just overjoyed with the conclusion.
I'm sure you are. I'm Nathan, if I didn't say that. I don't know if I did. This is Tony. We're here to talk about double eviction on Big Brother 26. Still an eventful week, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think my biggest take coming from this night, and we'll get into it, I am worried if we did peak and now we're going to coast for the next 2.5 weeks, which, if that's true, we did pretty well, but I hope I'm incorrect in that take.
Even if it is going to go downhill from here, we made it till this point. Like, usually it's earlier when it gets really boring. It's like a couple weeks before this. Like, we made it pretty deep into the game where it's interesting. And honestly, I feel like what's going to happen in the next, I feel like Mackenzie and Chelsea are going to have to go at each other soon. And so I feel like that will at least be an interesting thing to happen. Especially if they don't win HOH and they're both trying to convince somebody to do something. Like, I think there's still some meat on the bone that it could still be an interesting finish.
I think my worst case scenario, we're just jumping right to that, is because obviously I think Mackenzie is probably going to go. I think she's the odd person out of these 4 people. I think worst case scenario is Chemo or Rubina wins this next HOH. Mackenzie goes home on their HOH, and there never is a true blindside blow up karma for her, in my opinion, poor HOH week. I think that'd be worst case scenario. And then it's just kind of a coast. Okay, Chelsea or Cam are probably going to just win their way to the end and take the other person. That's worst case scenario. Best case, I don't know. Because I think any other option, it's like, okay, Mackenzie wins. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I think there's still stuff that can happen. But I do want to clarify, I am okay with this season if we are at this point where we just kind of coast to the end.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it was a good season. Now, the winner can paint that a lot negatively or positively, but it's been a lot of fun, I feel like, throughout. And I've been less focused on it than I have in the past, but every week using the veto so far, still to this point, the veto's been used every single time. Like that.
Yep.
That's going to make for an interesting season no matter what. And then all of the votes that came to the last minute until the decision was made. I think we're kind of getting past that point now because it's so late and there's so little decision to be made. And the people who are targets are so obvious at this point. But that's just the nature of the game, I think.
Yeah, and I do think so the first nomination or the first eviction of tonight was Leah. That was still a decent surprise. I think we didn't know last week that Mackenzie won when we recorded, but I don't think that would have ever been near our prediction of she's going to be the target on a Mackenzie HOH. So that was a surprise. Now I think Angela going in the double is a tad predictable and a little boring, and even I don't know. I'm an Angela fan, so a little anticlimactic for her story arc to just be like, oh, the double, she doesn't have any allies, so she goes. But, whatever. So I think it's crazy that even up until this night, we are now at the final 5, and this is the first time where we're saying we probably won't be surprised.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I'm having fun, man. I'm having fun.
All right, well, let's get into some of it. Let's start with talking about Mackenzie's HOH. I am very curious to hear your thoughts. Just a general vibe check on her HOH, because I've seen a lot of takes this week of this being a pretty rough HOH as far as her game goes. Where are you at? Do you think she walks out of this week with a successful HOH, or do you think she just got completely bamboozled by pretty much everyone left in the house?
Bamboozled, but that happens. I mean, that just happens sometimes where everybody is telling you one thing, and whether or not it's true, you take it as fact and you roll with it. It's definitely not a success because I don't think Leah was ever gonna be really gunning for Mackenzie. Maybe towards the end, but I think Leah was gonna be pretty loyal to. I would never, if you would have asked me this entire season, I never would have guessed that Mackenzie and Leah were gonna take shots at each other because they always felt like they were the two that were just kind of out of the loop on stuff until more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got bamboozled, and it doesn't look great, but it still could work out. I don't know. We'll see how everything pans out after this, but yeah, you
Yeah.
never know.
I truly think it is one of the worst HOHs I've ever seen. I'm going to
bad.
say, even on a season
This was
where.
pretty tough.
Whose was?
Quinn's. There was the
Well, okay.
Cedric one.
Here's
Here's
my take. I think this is a worse HOH than even both of Quinn's.
Oh, really?
That is where I'm at. And here's why. I think on Quinn's HOH, there was at least a vision. There was a plan. Now, was it a bad plan? Yes. Like, his plan was, let me put Cedric on the block so he could win a competition and help me, right? Putting Joseph on the block, I don't know what he was doing. You know, that was kind of just stupid. I'm sure there was maybe reason, but like, his plan wasn't to get his ally out. He was blindsided. Now, of course, bad HOH for putting yourself in a position to be blindsided. Mackenzie doesn't even realize that it's a bad move. And that's the thing, like, the second Joseph gets voted out, Quinn has this reaction like, oh, this was bad. He knows it.
Yeah.
Mackenzie doesn't even have the game knowledge to register that this was bad. Now, I don't think at any point. Now, there were moments where she tried to backtrack and be like, well, no, I don't want Leah to go now. But, like, it clearly was too late. So that's why I think this is way worse, because there was at no point this week where she had any agency over her decisions, despite having the HOH and the veto win. So, again, I think Quinn's moves were, like, really bad, but at least he recognized it once they happened, where Mackenzie, I still don't think she's even considering that it was a mistake.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And I think she's been kind of out of the loop a lot this season. So that's not particularly surprising that she wouldn't realize that it's not the best move for her.
Yeah.
For some reason, Leah suddenly was this massive threat, and I don't necessarily see why. But that was everybody's perception, and so that does become reality eventually. But I don't think Leah was about to beat anybody at any point. But hey, people have made mistakes, and she still could make it. But yeah, not a good week. Not a good week at all.
Yeah, I'm just so fascinated to see, because I think it wasn't really shown on tonight's episode, which I think is fair because it was a double eviction, and even the narrator recapping was like sped up. I don't know if that's ever happened. That was really bizarre.
It's kind of nice. It felt like there was time for the double eviction, whereas usually and I think that was partially the hour-and-a-half episode last night that they could.
Yes, we did see a little more
the veto
after.
meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think something that wasn't necessarily shown is there does seem to be a new 4-person alliance between Cam, Chelsea, Rubina, and Chemo. And part of me thinks it was probably just to secure, because I think all of them knew this was going to be a double eviction, just the way that Julie's AI was kind of making it sound. So I think part of it was maybe just like provide safety, just to guarantee that like Angela or Mackenzie goes in the double eviction. But if that's true, I think Mackenzie's absolutely screwed. So I'm fascinated to see if it is like an immediate like back turn, because I mean, she is nobody's number 1 right now in the House of 5, which is not good. Or if they do let it play out a week or two, you know, like if the two duos recognize the other duo, target them first, and then go for Mackenzie.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting thing, because I don't like. Yes, going after Leah was a poor idea, and even for Chelsea, I thought the idea of going after Angela, who's kind of off on her own, was interesting. I feel like you would have wanted to pick off a Chemo or Rubina at that point, but maybe the house just wanted Angela out, whatever. like try to hurt that other duo. Because now Mackenzie, yes, is in the middle of these two duos, and most likely one of the people from those duos will win, and then she's just kind of the swing vote. Or
Mhm.
she's kind of one of the commanding votes to just decide who goes home. And so
If she's not
yes,
on
it
the
could go
block.
for her. Yeah, if she's not on the block. I think you'd be more worried about a duo than Mackenzie, but I don't know, but Mackenzie maybe has an argument for winning.
Mm-hmm.
I would be more
Yeah.
worried about a duo going into the final 3, final 4.
Yeah. No, it's definitely tough. And I'm just like not really sure how soon it's gonna be. Because I think it's also the quality of the players and quality, that sounds bad. But like the potential to win stuff where I think Mackenzie,
Mhm.
she might I actually don't know. I don't really want to look up the numbers now, but it's probably her, Chelsea, right? Of people in the house.
Yeah.
Actually, Chelsea probably clears her now with this HOH here. Is
Mhm.
that 3 HOHs for Chelsea? Or is this just the second?
Um,
No. Oh, yeah.
third.
Yeah.
Yep,
This
it's
is
the
her third.
third.
Okay. So Chelsea clears her on comp wins. Um, Actually, no, because Mackenzie's won like 3 vetoes. I don't know. It's close. But outside of that, like what? Cam has a veto. Chemo now has a veto and a
Mhm. AI or AI
right,
right now.
as long as well as Rubina has that. So like to
Mhm.
me, I think Mackenzie's threat level rises despite Chemo and Tikor. Not Tikor. What am I saying?
Mhm.
Rubina being a duo. I'm just all over the place.
Yeah. And it all depends on who you trust going into that final. Like if Chelsea feels like she can, because Chelsea feels like she is running the game in a lot of ways, but she feels like she's got to be the main target going into this. So as long as Mackenzie can keep her on the block, I feel like she'll be fine. But yeah, it was an odd situation all around.
Who do you give the most credit to then for Mackenzie's decision? Do you think because the episode kind of had it split? I personally would give most of the credit to Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
even a little bit Cam. I wasn't on the episode a lot, but anytime I'm tuning the feeds, Cam is definitely like right there with her, like reassuring Mackenzie. But the episode
Yeah.
gave like Rubina definitely a lot of credit as well. So I don't know. Is there
Mm-hmm.
a person that you think walks out of this week like the most successful?
I think you could say it's Chelsea. Just yeah, I think she's. I feel like she's been in a lot of these decisions. Like she's felt like the power player for a while. So maybe I attribute it to her just because I feel like I've seen it from her more this season. But to me, it seems like it's Chelsea, and I think Chelsea had some of the other people on board, like Rubina, like Cam. Well, Cam was always going to be with Chelsea, but she has some of these other people on board who are just reinforcing that as well and making it an even stronger case.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I also think she probably walks out the best of everyone here because I think what she did, and I think this might go into like your question of like why would she target Angela and in the double like this. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like what she has successfully done is remove most of the people who would go after her. You
Yeah.
know? Because I think like Leah was that wild card
Mm-hmm.
where even though she didn't target her when she was HOH, which is what Leah kept trying to tell Mackenzie, which I don't understand why Mackenzie doesn't understand that. Like she literally
Mm-hmm.
didn't put you up. I don't know what more you want. But like Leah would have been the person to nominate Chelsea, and I would say
Mm-hmm.
Angela might have been too. Like those are the two people that are the most likely. So I think as far as people left in the house, this is Chelsea's best opportunity to like get farther. Obviously, again, you're dealing with another duo who recognizes you as a stronger duo when it comes to comp wins, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mackenzie's gonna go after Chelsea right now. Cam's definitely not. So I think Chelsea's like in my mind, I think there are very few scenarios where Chelsea doesn't win this game.
Yeah. And to me, I like that because she feels like the strongest player in the game to me right now. But also, I don't want it to be like a boring ending. It's interesting because at this point in the game, it feels like usually all bets are off, and if you think somebody's a threat, you go for them. So I'm curious if Mackenzie would want to take that shot right now. I don't think Cam would ever take a shot at Kelsey or Chelsea. I don't know why I said her name wrong. That was weird.
We're getting all sorts of
Um,
names out today.
yeah, I don't know what that was about. Rubina and Chemo would probably have to go that way. Like I feel like that would be their inclination. But
Yeah,
it's
unless they truly trust this like 4-person alliance that was apparently started and go for Mackenzie, because again, Mackenzie's also a comp threat, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. Like I just think Chelsea has enough mist over everyone in the house right now that it would take something rather significant for anyone to directly target her.
I love it. That's what I love to hear because I feel like I see that, and it's nice that other people are also seeing it that way because I feel like I've been watching her game the whole season. She's been in a super great spot. It's hard for me to imagine being in the house and not realizing that she's the one that's pulling the strings, but I've never been in the house. You know what I mean? Like watching it seems so clear watching the show, and so it's tough to think that none of them are going to take that shot. I think they have more time than they do, though. Like in these last few evictions, there's not a ton of time. Like if you're gonna take a shot, it's got to be now. I feel like
Well,
you can't wait.
that's the interesting thing where I'm fascinated why someone like Chemo and Rubina wouldn't have pushed harder, let's say on like Mackenzie's HOH to get one of them on the block. Like, are they that blinded by karma to want to get Leah out for what she did to T-Core that like they do view Leah? Because in my mind, I don't know. Like, I don't think getting Leah out was a huge win for their game.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think so because it was like it's the vindictive gameplay where it's like, oh, I avenged T-Core, and it's like that, but you didn't do anything for your game. Like that doesn't help you
Yeah.
a ton. You can't, you almost can't play that way because you can because it's cool and it's good TV and sometimes it's successful, but it's just not an effective way to get to the end, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I don't know. I do think Leah vote is in large part due to Chelsea, and I think this benefits her game the most. And I don't know. It's like I said, I hope something shakes up, but right now it's just looking like she's running away with it.
Mhm.
And even the other scenarios, like let's say Chelsea doesn't make it to the end. This is a rather random final five. Like whoever's
Yeah.
in those final two, if not Chelsea, I don't know how this goes. You know, if it's like Chemo and Mackenzie, if it's like Rubina and Cam, like any
Mhm.
combination that doesn't involve Chelsea, I have absolutely no idea what happens.
I feel like to me Mackenzie has the edge, but I'm not quite sure why. It feels like she's done more, at least recently for sure. It feels like she's been moving things around and doing things. She's won 2 of the last 3 vetoes and an HOH. Like she's been doing things. Even if you view it as like, oh, you shouldn't have gotten Leah out, if she gets to the end, it's tough to really knock it. Yeah, it seems dumb, but she got to the end, so it doesn't
That's
matter.
true. I mean, Jag won the entire game off comp wins and horrible social moves, so that's that's a viable way to win the game.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't hate Jag as much as some people. Well, dislike Jag's game. I don't think you dislike Jag as a person.
I don't know him as a person. He goes live on
But to
TikTok
me,
a lot. I
yeah,
know that.
Chelsea easy front runner. Second has got to be Mackenzie. Third,
I okay. I here.
do you disagree with that? Talk to me.
No. I'm not that. I'm
Okay.
debating on who I think third is. I think third might be Chemo, but only because I think he's got away with the jury. I
Mm-hmm.
think Chemo is. I thought more about last week when I think the conversation went because we were trying to talk about who you think is better than Angela, and you said Chemo, and I just kept thinking about that
Mm-hmm.
all week. And I think I've decided. I think Chemo has a horrible game. I think
Okay.
maybe the worst in the house, but I think he might be third most likely to win based on jury votes alone because
And
he's
that's the
just
game.
that guy. I know it's the game. I
Nathan, that's the
understand that.
game.
I understand.
That's the game.
But like socially, strategically, like I'm like looking at his game and I'm like, what has he done? Like legitimately, what has he done other than a speech that apparently swayed votes his way, which is crazy. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what he's done.
Interestingly, in this specific way, I think he's the anti-Angela. Now, hear me out. I feel like so when I look at Angela, and you know my opinion on Angela, so that's obviously going to color this thought.
Uh-huh.
The resume that I see on paper does not match the player that I watch on TV every week. Like it doesn't work that way. She on paper, her resume is very, very good. In actuality, I feel like it's not her really doing a lot of the work. Whereas with Chemo, his resume is cheeks. It's not good. It's a bad resume. Hasn't
Uh-huh.
really done much.
Yeah.
But his like ability and like view of his game by everybody around him and the jury, they love him. And I think if he gets to the end, they're gonna vote for him because like his game is viewed super well, even though on paper the resume doesn't feel like it's there.
But do you
So it's kind
yes,
of the
okay.
reverse. Do you see what I mean by
But
that?
I guess I don't know if people would vote for him based on they think he has a good game. I think they would vote for him just because they like him. I mean, like the fact that Angela left the house and made a decree, like I would have taken Chemo because I love him, and that says to Julie, like, why would you take me? Oh, I love Chemo. That's why I would have taken. Like, that's
They
that's
should
what's
have
gonna
given her
win
like
him the
5
game.
minutes to just calm down. She was just a lot in that last segment.
But like, people are gonna vote for him because they like him. Like, that's what it's
Yeah.
gonna come down to. And so, again, if that wins the game, that wins the game. I'm just like, that's kind of. It's
But
kind of lame to like not do anything the entire season and then just be likable.
so if he beats Chelsea or Mackenzie, I think I'll be upset. But if it's Chemo versus Rubina, what more has she done than him? Not much. So the tiebreaker being
I
they
think
like
a
him makes
lot.
sense. With him and Cam, how much more has he done than Chemo has done? Maybe a little bit more recently, but not enough to really move the needle. And
Oh,
so the
see, I
tiebreaker
completely disagree. I mean, I think
really.
if you look at this week alone, Cam
Mhm.
and Rubina were in there having conversations, like assuring the Leah vote. Chemo did absolutely nothing. Like
Mhm.
zero game talk, zero reassurance. I mean, at least Rubina is like whether or not it's good for her game, like at least she's up there talking to Mackenzie. At least Cam is having game talks with Chelsea and Mackenzie
Mhm.
and other people. Like Chemo talks to T-Core, and then when she leaves, he talks to Rabina, and then no one else. That's all he
Yeah.
does. I think that's my
People love him.
thing. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he's good at the game because he's a likable person. I don't
Mhm.
think he's good at the game because of anything he's doing intentionally.
Okay.
Whereas we
That's
want to
kind
bring
of
it
how I
back to
feel about
Angela, but Angela is the opposite because she's unlikable, but she's doing things. And so that's where I'm like, at least she's playing the game. I don't think he
Mhm.
was playing the game.
Yeah, he is definitely just playing the popularity contest game and hoping that that gets him a win.
And it might.
It might. It genuinely might. And yeah, I don't think Cam and Rubina have done that much. I think if you look at the totality of the game, maybe more recently that's true. I think Chemo has made moves and made things happen throughout the game that would make him on par with Cam and Rubina.
I just don't see that either.
And
I
that's
really
fair.
don't.
That's fair. And this is just it's tough because it's my perception and I haven't been that plugged in. But that's just how I see it. And so the tiebreaker being they like him more makes sense to me. It's like when people ask at the final tribal council or the finale, what are you going to do with the money? If it's really those people are dead even for you and you need a tiebreaker, it makes sense to say what are you going to do with the money? Like should it be dead even for that to be a factor? A lot of times, no. A lot of times, I think it's a dumb question.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need a tiebreaker, it's not the worst one in the world. And if you need a tiebreaker for which one you like more, I mean, that's how you vote, probably.
No, I know you're right. And again, that's the frustrating part of watching this game sometimes, but it is the game. And I think you look at the jury, I think Quinn loves Chemo. T-Core loves Chemo. Angela apparently loves Chemo. So right now, the only person we're looking at is Leah, who I don't think she has any ill feelings towards him. It's just not as confident as the other three. You know what I mean? So it's like she could vote for Chemo. What like I don't know. So
There
it
is a
does.
world where Chemo beats like Chelsea, and that will make me furious. Genuinely, I will be very upset with that because she clearly did more than he did. But that's the game. Like if you just everybody likes you in the jury, sometimes that's all you need. That's we've seen it before, and I'm mad about it every time, but we've seen it before.
Yeah, I hope that's something they realize because I think it's going to be fascinating with Rubina and Chemo still in the game because if one of them is in the final two without the other, that's almost an automatic 2 votes for them, being the other person plus T-Core. So that's already tough to be down 2 votes. So I hope and I assume Chelsea has thought about that to know like I cannot be sitting next to one of them. I need to make sure this whole trio is in the jury so that their votes can not be swayed a certain way.
That's how you know if they really know what they're doing, is if they see that and know that all 3 of them have to be on the jury. And that's why in this last one, to me, taking a shot at one of them would have been better. Angela was more of a threat than I think they viewed her as more of a threat than I realized, and so she needed to go. And I think I'm curious in a jury situation how Angela would have done, but that's what they decided to go with. But
That
I
is
don't
one
know,
of
that
life's
Rubina, that
greatest
duo
questions.
scares me. One of life's greatest questions is just Angela, how she would have done with the jury.
Yeah, I really wonder. Which we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about her because she's gone. But again, on paper, it's there.
It is.
Her relationships to people in the house are so back and forth. Where Mackenzie uses the veto on her to kind of blindside the house and then makes her target when she's HOH and agrees, yeah, she's got to go. So it's like, if Angela gets the final 2, I think the only confident vote she would have was Leah. So I don't know. It's a world that I wish we could see, and just for future seasons, producers, I am begging you, please cast more people like her. I truly think, okay, but this season would have sucked without her. Can you admit that?
That's fair. That's fair. She's a good love to hate her kind
like
of
this is the type of people I want on the show. You know, again, I think Chelsea's a great player, but if it's not for Angela and Tucker and maybe a little Quinn, I think this season is incredibly boring. You know, because well, and I'll give credit to the AI arena because I think like Chelsea to me is like the Xavier type of player where like her mission is just like to keep the house cool, calm, and like let me be in control.
Yeah.
And then comes like Tucker and it's just like, nah, like I'm not doing like this stuff.
You need
and I think,
both though, I think.
I
Like,
think
can't
you
just have
do.
16 Tuckers in there. Like that would just be too much.
Ah, that'd be kind of fun though. Maybe.
Once I'd like to see it, yeah. Maybe once.
Because I think like if it was up to Chelsea the entire game, like she tried having her big alliance from the start, right? And if it was up to her, I think she would have just rode that out. So I like that we have chaotic players that force her to readjust and be flexible and show how
Instead
like
of just coast the whole way, yeah.
right, because it's like, is Xavier like a great winner, or did he just benefit from a season where everyone was cool, calm, and just kept the big alliance and it worked out? You know what I mean? I think like those winners are so, but like I like the winners where they actually have to face some adversity, you know? And so I think like if and when I think Chelsea's going to win, I think it's going to be pretty cool to see like how much she has overcome. And I think that's due to players like Tucker and Angela and Quinn. Quinn was a horrible alliance member for her.
Yeah, you need like 3, 4, maybe 5 just awful, chaotic players to just stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah. Oh man, this was this is a good cast. It really was.
It is. And it's interesting because once again, like there's only 1 or 2 that I like genuinely like love them as a player. Like Tucker's probably really the only one, and I really like Chelsea, but like Tucker's really the only one that I'd love to see again. But overall, the cast has been so entertaining.
No man, it's Tucker and Angela for me. Get
I know
them,
it is.
get them on an All-Star season ASAP.
Golly, Tucker again. But Tucker's never coming back, unfortunately.
You don't think so?
No chance. I think
Really?
they'd have to give him a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't
I think
know.
he's going to be the new mainstay on the challenge if they even keep doing the challenge, and they're going to fall in love with him there, and he's going to enjoy that a lot more than living in the big. Because he didn't. He basically asked to get voted out because he just hated being in the Big Brother house.
Yeah, no, I mean he was really bored, which is what caused him to be chaotic. He's like, this game's kind of boring. He's like, we have 7 days until someone gets evicted, and us viewers are like, yeah, no, we agree. We also want it to be sped up. He gets it. Who else do we need to talk about? We kind of brushed on a little bit of anyone. I guess, are there any little tidbits you want to throw in from the remaining players left?
Let me think. I feel like there were a couple things that like happened during the show where I was like, "Oh, that's funny," and then I just forgot what it was now.
Well, maybe they'll come.
So
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
tiebreaker for the HOH competition was closest without going over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that part. So when they announced Chelsea as the winner, I was like, "That's not true." Angela was for sure closer. Chelsea's guess was horrendous. And then I was like, and then finally I like looked on Google or Twitter and was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay. I'm tracking with it now."
I feel like it's kind of lame. And I know you probably are biased because it's Chelsea versus Angela, but like Angela
Yeah.
was 5,000 minutes off, Chelsea was 9,000 off. Like that's a
To me, it felt like
decent
Chelsea
distance.
like forgot to put another digit or something. Like her guess felt so incorrect to me. Because I quickly would have done the math and gotten to like the 10,000, 9,000 range and just put that and called it good.
Well, yeah, because what was her guess? About 1,000
Mm-hmm.
around there. So what is 1,000? So
There's
16 hours.
1,080. Yeah.
So 16.6666 hours. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was in there for a little over 6 days. That is a horrible guess.
Oh yeah.
A horrible
Exactly.
guess. So it is a little lame, I think, that she wins off of that. When again, Angela's guess wasn't great, but closer by,
I think
3
I'd have to see,
days.
have they always done closest without going over? And they were told that ahead of time, so you would want to like err on the lower side just to make sure that you don't exceed it. And so
Right.
they're told that, and so like at that point it's fair. I just missed it. But yeah, it is frustrating that I can see that frustration.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think for future seasons, I think that probably is just a strategy. Like just go low and hope they. I think that's almost better odds because
Mm-hmm.
if you get so like, can you imagine like if you're off by like 20 minutes but you go over and you're like, are you kidding me? Like I got it to the hour and I was
Mhm.
20 minutes off and I don't win because I technically went 20 minutes over on a
Mhm.
like that would be heartbreaking. So I think it's harder to like be upset at the rules when again Angela was off by 5,000 minutes, but I don't know. It's the rules. It is what it is. But man,
Game's
that would
the
have been
game.
exciting. I would have loved to see who she would have targeted. Because in my mind, there's a chance she goes for Chelsea,
I think it's Chelsea McKenzie.
but I think Chelsea would have had the votes.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been such an exciting scenario. And honestly, a little maybe better, like for us as the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Mackenzie goes, Mackenzie gets blindsided. We get one of the greatest karma arcs in Big Brother history.
Yep.
And Angela probably goes next week anyway, so it all goes the way it's supposed to, So
Mm-hmm.
whatever. We didn't get it. It's fine. Work harder, Big Brother script. You're so close.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
guess
feel like that's all there is. I mean, it was
yeah,
double
no,
division,
it
but I
was.
feel like we covered all of it.
I mean, we've been covering it for weeks, so not
Yeah.
a lot of things we're saying we've been saying for a while. So
Mm-hmm.
real quick, let's just rank the final 5 on how likely you think they are to win the game.
Okay.
Okay, that can I don't know. The way I'm calculating that is how likely they are to get to the end and then get the votes. Right? That's. Mine would be, I think, Chelsea.
Yep.
Hate to say it, chemo.
Yep.
Probably Mackenzie,
Yep.
Rabina, Cam.
Mine's exactly the same. That's right where I was at. It's tough
Yeah.
to put Chemo there, but I genuinely think if he's in that final two, he's everybody's just put him on the block against people because they know that no one's gonna vote for him. I feel like that's been the case
Yeah.
for the entire back half of the season because everybody was like, yeah, no one's gonna vote for Chemo.
Yep.
And he survived the block a couple times, and you can use that as like a reason that to keep you around. So yeah, I think it's easily.
I completely
Chemo.
agree. I think Mackenzie's interesting. I think she has probably the toughest battle to get to the end, but also just based on the odds of her competition wins, one of the highest chances. Like where she could legitimately just win probably 2 or 3 more competitions and then be good. So
Yeah,
that's not a lot
Yeah,
when
the
you're
hard
looking at your
part will be
competition.
the hard part for her will be jury votes. I really think so.
That's true too.
Because like
Yeah.
Leah, she's not going to get. I don't think there's a world where she gets Angela's jury vote. And so then it just depends who she's up against for how she like if she gets the rest of them.
Sure. Like she'd have to, like let's say she gets to the end, cuts Chelsea and takes Cam, right?
Mhm.
Adds that to her resume, sitting next to freaking Cam. That could be a good, situation for her, but yeah, you got a point there. Jury vote's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm here
Well,
for it. I'm excited.
good season as of now. I've got my worries, but I'm not gonna be negative until I have to be. So we're gonna
Sounds
ride this
good.
out. Let's go. For more episodes, visit notgameallpersonal.com. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at NGAPPod. That's at NGAPPod. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're also covering Survivor right now. So if you're into that, decent overlap fandom. So listen to those episodes too. But you probably already know that because you follow us on everything. So
Yeah.
till next time, I'm Nathan. This is Tony, and we will see you next time.
Shout out all my dogs at the crib.